Hello, this is Bloom. In this video we'll be discussing a three-letter word in perfumery everyone is curious about but don't know how to start a conversation when they want to ask about it. Oud. What is oud? What is this fashion which started probably at the beginning of the century in the noughties, when suddenly this material was everywhere? What is oud? Oud is an oil you can get from a special kind of tree which grows in the tropical climates called aloe wood or Aquileia, but it's not called oud. It's only when this tree develops special kind of fungi inside it that you can actually distill the wood for that perfume material which we know as oud. Also, sometimes in Middle East, it's not the oil, it's the chips of the wood which you can use as incense. Maybe it will be news to some viewers that 95% of things listed as oud in perfumes you smell in department stores or even niche shops like this. So 95% of ouds are accords. That means it's not natural oud, it's a composition put together to smell like oud. And only 5% of perfumes you encounter probably have natural oud. Why is that? Oud is expensive. Oud is very varied in the way it smells. Each tree yields its own aromatic profile. So if you produce on a very large scale, it's a nightmare. You get a batch, you adjust your formula so this profile is perfect. Next year, 2 years onwards, you won't be able to get the same kind of material. Each tree, each year in different regions produces different kind of smell. So if you're a niche perfumer, yes, you can adjust your formulas. If you produce on mass scale, it's much easier to just put an accord together which will replicate the smell of ideal oud. It doesn't mean that all those accords are synthetic. Very often, to give them a bit more convincing vibe, perfumers put natural things. Myrrh, for example, smells close to oud. Mix it with some clever synthetics and bingo, you have your idealized, better than real oud smell. At Bloom, we have both options. You can try beautiful, fantastic accords, or you can try and appreciate real ouds. Let's start with real ones. Most often you get Cambodian oud. This year's release of Imaginary Offers Whispered Myths features it. When you smell Whispered Myths, it's a lot of gourmand, ambery vibes you will get. But oud is incredibly rich kind of material. It goes from sweet ambery through dry, almost cedarwood vibes into salty and medicinal. I think it's to do with chemistry of the plant. You get the core of the tree, you get the results of the chemical processes that happen when the tree tries to fight the fungi. And if you want the other extreme, the opposite of ambery, you can try Anna Zvarikina's Ghost House. So it's cool, almost medicinal, and it was possible to bring this nuance out by combining it with frankincense. So very often when it comes to rich ingredients that offer you lots of options, it's what the ingredient is mixed with that will determine which nuance will come out and be more visible. And Ghost House is a chilling affair. That's why you get the cold vibes of wood in this one. Le Guerrier by Pierre Guillaume. So here, perfumer consciously avoided calling the material oud. So people who've smelled countless of badly executed oud replicas, they don't have those negative expectations. So in this formula, oud is called aloe wood. And it's also a very cool, crisp, I would say pure kind of woodiness going through the formula, and it's dedicated to water, cool water, water in some mountain spring. Then of course Beaufort. Wood can be very smoky. It acquires smokiness through the process of distillation. And Beaufort are the masters of smoke, so wood came very handy for some of their stories. You can smell it in Tonnerre, dedicated to a sea battle. Also, when working with wood, I found that it's perfect for marine formulas if you want some wood soaked in salty water kind of reference. In Tonnerre, it's exactly that. It's a sea battle, it's ships blown apart and pieces of wood floating in unquiet waters. And Vit Arvis, this is a different story. It's all sorts of exotic goods traded by East India Company, and oud of course would be one of them. And in both formulas it's Cambodian oud. But oud also comes from India, Vietnam. It doesn't come from Middle East. Middle East is probably the largest trader and consumer of this material, but it grows elsewhere where climates are a bit more humid. Now, accords. Here perfumers can create so many interpretations of the oud smell. And we have perfumes that highlight all the nuances I mentioned earlier, from ambery to cool. And let's start with a very clever perfume called No Oud, but it's super popular with the Middle Eastern clientele. Whatever perfumer put in it, it smells very true to high quality oud oil. What really was there or is there, we don't really know. Perfumer didn't tell us, but at least he was very clear about the joke. No oud. When you see a perfume which has oud in it, in the title, it doesn't mean there's any real oud. Might be a bit of a shock or revelation, but perfumers don't have to list the exact materials they used, and they can call the scents they're using anything from oud to something fantastic like a cool breeze of the island in paradise. Because perfume is art. So that was archetypal reference oud accords in No Oud. Then you have Origin, a very interesting perfume by quite a young brand called Aquileia. They don't mention oud, it's not about oud, it smells again like top quality, rich oud. And guess what? It's very popular in Middle East. When people from that part of the world visit us, show them this. I thought about it. What is it? Which materials create this beautiful oud illusion? I think it's myrrh, I think it's rose, and I think it's spices and a bit of vanilla. So it's not a synthetic accord. It's just a natural way or a natural effect of the combination of these materials. And it's a bit cheesy or old socks like, which sometimes again is a feature of top quality oud oil. Beautiful. We don't say old socks, we use sensual. But when I think about it, this is what I think. Another interpretation of what oud can smell. Oud are called by a brand from Russia called Voronoi. They like casual scents, so it's, I would say, beginner's oud. It's sweet, it's ambery, it's a bit fruity. Another nuance you can find in natural oud, but it's totally pleasant. There's nothing challenging, there's nothing, let's say, sensual about it. And it's a gourmand woody delight. Even though it has a skull on the label, it's more to do with the spiritual practices of burning oud than something scary. If you want scary, go to before. That would be probably challenging for beginners. And then finally, it's of course the oud rose combination. These two materials combine beautifully. And again, you have a choice of using real ouds and real roses. And then you can use fantastic accords. You have saffron rose, where oud is a bit richer. Again, there's myrrh and castoreum, which take it into a more sensual leather territory. Or you can go a bit more gourmand with Hatria by Angela Campagna. Rose is real here, rose from Italy, and oud is an accord. And it's a bit saltier and crispier compared to saffron rose. So all of these you can try here at Covent Garden. You can sample these perfumes online, and we'll be happy to see you and take you through this particular material or any other material you can think of. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.